The Queen is Dead. By Meep the Changeling. Chapter 15. A Night to Wish You Could Remember. David, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, evening, 12 hours before dawn. In the 5 years I had been trekking around this country, and in all the places I had ever been in, I had never been stopped by the law after a fight. The surprise at having an offer of the law jump into the battleground of a storefront brandishing a fireman's axe and yelling, "Stop, or I'll chop your heads off," had shocked me so much that there was still one changeling alive. She owned her life to that dark blue earth pony and the element of surprise. Those guards owed their lives to that as well, plus the gleeful determination in the axe-wielding guards' eyes. Also they were proper lawmen, but I might have attacked them if it had not been for the surprise. Getting hit in the hip by a goddamn magic laser tends to put a man into a bit of a raging frenzy. I was thoroughly impressed by Capson's guards. 10 minutes from arrest to cuffed and sitting in a holding cell in a nearby barracks. More impressively, not all in one cell, in adjacent cells. Though there were iron bars dividing the cells instead of solid walls, so one could reasonably conspire with one's cellmates. Except they put the now demorphed topaz-eyed changeling between us. Points to the guards for knowing not to lock allies in the same cell. That's pretty rare. At least for holding people pending charges. My ears perked up as two voices echoed down the stone corridors. They are not bad guys. We shouldn't lock them up. A voice I recognized as the axe-wielding guard grumbled. Axie, we are officers of the law. Not thugs, the second voice said in the tired manner of someone who keeps saying the same thing futilely. We know they are not bad guys. Axie grumbled. You do not have the ability to visually detect good and evil people. The second voice said in an equally tired manner. If they were, I'd have chopped their heads off. Axie informed simply. Please wait here. Okay, the second voice ordered irritably. A grunt of acknowledgement was followed a few seconds later by a tall dappled grey and black unicorn stallion entering the cell block. He had a well-kept, plain-trimmed, nearly black-blue colored mane and tail, and to my honest surprise, was dressed. The well-made starched and ruffled shirt and jacket looked fairly noble-ish, combined with the overall prestige the unicorn radiated gave me a pretty good sense of who this was in relation to the situation. Good day, Lord. I greeted politely. The stallion took a fearful and surprised half-step back. My word. I had been told one of you was a diamond dog, but I had no idea you were a purebred. Is your entourage within the city? I will have them quartered for the duration of this investigation. Purebred? Well, this was my first time hearing anything about that. I'm afraid that only one of my companions is not within these cells, sir. As for me being a purebred, I am afraid I do not know what you are talking about. I'm not from this continent. A second look of surprise, but this one far less fearful, covered the unicorn's face for the barest of instances. Ah! Well, I was unaware of any ships which could cross the sea, let alone of lands beyond it. I suppose it would be prudent to tell you that dogs of your refined shape and less brutish build are called purebreds in these lands. Your people have a small nation to the far north called Canada, and your bloodline and those like it rule the land. I nodded. He thought his men had locked up a foreign noble. Seems legit. I see, thanks for the explanation. I assume that is little known information in your kingdom. Sadly yes, our education standards are lacking. The unicorn sighed. Very well, on to business. Public brawling is a criminal offense in this city, with a minimum sentence for any individuals who were not protecting themselves or others. As I doubt this was a duel, I am relatively certain that one or two of you will be leaving in the morning. However, I need to hear the evening's events from each of you. For the record and to determine the innocence. Ah, come on. Jade whined, your friend said we were good people. My friend is a simpleton due to a poorly healed head wound. He is a genius with an axe, and nothing more. As such, as far as I am concerned, he is just a weapon, not a judge of character and arbiter of the truth. Mr. Noble sighed wearily. You say this a lot, don't you? Jade asked with an apologetic eardroop. If he were not somehow the best guard in the kingdom, I would force him to retire, he muttered. Shaking his head slowly, he resumed his working demeanor. I am Duke Piebald, one of Capson's knight captains. Pending your testimonies, and my decision, royal justice will account in all balance. There will be no appeals, and no trial, as the offence is of trivial importance. Please state your names. I am Lieutenant David Pierce. I informed. Ah. A military dog, eh? The Duke asked warmly. Formerly, I am now retired. I explained. You do not look that old. The Duke said suspiciously, raising one eyebrow. I'm a bit older than I look, Lord. Additionally, I am retired as the war I enlisted to serve in ended. Ah. I see. He nodded, then turned towards Jade. Jade Machate's daughter. Jade answered, giving me a family name for the first time ever. And confusing me as to why it was Norwegian-like. Probably just an artifact of Equish. Like the word boondoggle. Odd name for a Pegasus. The Duke commented. I'm from the area around Apollo. Oh. Sorry. The Duke apologized in the manner of someone disgusted with the region being discussed. Now, do you have a name, Changeling? 3 of 3, primary fabricator of infiltration cell 15, she answered in a flat tone. I felt myself have a mini heart attack. By all that is holy, please don't let the thing we're trying to escape be a mini Borg collective. This world was seriously making me seriously regret giving up drinking. The Duke raised an eyebrow. I've never met a changeling before, at least, not knowingly. Are all of your names numbers and titles? Yes. 3 responded. I suppose if I had 100 children I would just number them too, the Duke mused. I would hear the changeling's defense of her actions first. The topaz bug girl remained sitting still for several seconds. Just as the Duke and I were sure she was going to not speak, she looked up at the Duke. We were an infiltration unit under orders from Her Highness to kill or slow these two and their companion. They were preserving their lives against our actions. Your Justice. The Duke held up a hoof. Miss, I advise you, if you are claiming to be a part of the swarm, to allow your friends to go free. The penalty for working for the swarm is execution. Your advice is irrelevant, the changeling replied instantly. We state factual information upon your request. The Duke looked over to Jade, who thankfully was still in her Pegasus shape, though a bit singed and cut in a few places. Is she telling the truth? Jade nodded. Yet. They hypnotized our friend Azza, and got him to lose our traveling money to another one of them. Negative. That was this one's function in the operation. The changeling interrupted. This one applied its alchemic talent to separate their companion from their money, ensuring they would come looking for it or be forced to take only a route of our choosing. These two were in the process of successfully retrieving their money upon our capture. The Duke narrowed his eyes dangerously. If this is the truth, why are you so cooperative? This one was conscripted, the changeling answered. Ah. The Duke nodded sadly. I'll have the headsman make it quick. That didn't settle right with me. It's one thing to kill in battle, it's one thing to kill a dangerous prisoner, but to kill someone just for being forced to fight? Your lordship, if I may. I asked. Yes. He asked, turning to face me. Seeing as how she's apparently a conscript, perhaps she can be let free. I asked diplomatically. No, the Duke sighed. There's nothing of her left but the barest scraps. Killing her is a mercy. Additionally, the law is very clear. All members of the swarm who are captured are to be killed. This one agrees. It is a mercy. The changeling said in a frighteningly honest and hopeful tone. I winced. The swarm links their minds together irreversibly, the Duke elaborated. Without others of the swarm nearby, she is in pain, and any personality she was allowed to keep is essentially gone. I winced again. Maybe there was something I could do. I see. I am a surgeon, would you permit me to? Are you a mage in addition to a surgeon? He asked. I sighed and looked at the topaz bug for a few moments. Now that I thought about it, she did look more like an injured animal and less like an injured person. Sorry, but no. Then I am afraid it is beyond your purview. The Duke said in a sad but polite tone. Regardless, the law is clear. I assume the nearly 400 lions found at the scene is the money you were separated from. 400? My ears perked up at the number. I could try to get all of it, but... No. The law was here and probably quite observant. Yes. But not all of it. I'm not sure how much we had exactly. Jade? Do you know? Jade shook her head. I can't remember how much as a said age spent or we had left. The money is predominantly of our ownership. The Changeling informed. It was used to acquire the needed items for our operation. They may have it. The Duke nodded, satisfied. Very well. I will have half of the money given to you, my good sir, upon your release in the morning. The rest will go towards paying your fines for the brawl and property damages. I winced slightly, sorry about the door. Friend's life at stake and such. Understandable, the Duke said, nodding, but still something which must be paid for. Very well, my final decision is thus. Mr. Pierce and Miss Machate's daughter will be allowed to go free within the morning. As foreigners, you are to leave Capson by sundown of the same day and may not return for 90 days. 3. As a member of the swarm you will be executed at dawn. Thank you. 3 said in a creepily pleased tone. Ah, yeah. Thanks, Jade said, scratching behind her head. I will leave you to your own devices. The Duke informed, turning around and starting to walk off. Oh, right. If for some reason you choose to attempt escape, wards around the cells will let the guards know your cells are vacant. If you experience any form of trouble, a shout will be heard by whoever is on prisoner detail and they will come to assist you. Good day. A few seconds later and the sound so his hooves clicking on the stone floor faded away. That's when it hit me. Oh, fuck me right in the ear. I cursed, slapping my face as hard as my hand would allow. Jade yelped and turned to face me through 3's cell. What? I groaned and slid down the bars to sit on the floor. I ordered Azza to sit at the cart with no explanation of him being hypnotized. He's probably still there, completely depressed and thinking I hate him so much I wouldn't let him help save a friend. Oh, pony feathers, Jade groaned sadly. You said it. I sighed. I hope he's okay. Azza, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, late evening, 10 hours before dawn. Faithfully sitting beside the cart for 2 hours had made me realize 2 things. First, Jade and David were probably arrested for fighting, and were in jail for the night. Second, it was literally testicle retractingly cold in Capson at night. I really wanted to stay with the cart. But since my friends were probably spending the night in a cell, it would be best to just move the cart back to our spot we were chilling at outside the walls, and meet them there tomorrow. On the other hoof, it was still really cold. Also that pub the pale mare had gone to was looking all cheery and warm and glowy. Ah hey, the cart would be safe long enough for me to go in and get warm. I looked around the spookily empty streets, nodded to myself, retrieved my saddlebags, tucked Clover's book inside them just in case, tossed the bags on and trotted down the street to the pub. As I walked inside I noticed it was way nicer than Applewood's Inn. The wood was stained a nice color, it was super clean, there were only a few customers, nice brass lamps, and cool tapestries to decorate the walls. I'd only been in for a few seconds when some pony called, "Hey! It's Girla Colt." It took me a few seconds to realize some pony had been addressing me. Looking up I spotted the pale mare from before, sitting at a table near the bar and looking pretty tipsy. She waved me over, and not wanting to be rude I walked over and sat in one of the chairs at the table. She gave me a happy grin. Guess what? What? I asked. Alcohol. She sang, sliding a bottle over to me with her hoof. I have no idea what this is, but it's totally actually magic. She giggled. I just came in to warm up. I said gently. This totally warms you up. I am radiating warm fuzzies. She insisted. I don't even know your name. I mean, it's not a good idea to just drink with stranger. Call me Dusk. Or Death. Either works. But seriously, this stuff is amazing. I am coming back here forever. She smiled before downing a small shot glass of the pale amber drink. Oh yeah, what's your name again? Just call me Lily. I muttered. That drink did look good. I accepted the offered bottle, and using my magic tried just the tiniest sip. I felt my eyes instantly dilate. Whoa, I gasped in delighted surprise. I know. Dusk giggled. I decided I needed a glass of this stuff. Can I have a glaw? Dude, buck that. Butterscotch. Bring my friend a bottle please. Dusk called towards the bar. I eeped, oh no, you don't need to spend money on. Not spending money. Business deal. I get all of these I like, he gets another year per bottle. Dusk said idly before perking back up, oh yeah. I solved that whole girl's soul thing. I blinked twice as I looked at her in complete bafflement. Wait, so you can actually see? Yeah. Dusk said with an eye roll. Did you see my flank? No, I admitted. I didn't catch your cutie mark. Well, I can see souls. And yours is like all but 1 millionth female. And I figured out why. Dusk said as a buttery golden yellow stallion set another bottle on the table. Thanks, Butterscotch. My pleasure, ma'am. I assume your friend's drinks are on you? The stallion asked hopefully. Yep. And keep them coming. Dusk said, beaming a grin. Turning back to me, she gave her head a small shake, blinked, then continued, so, you were going to be one of a set of triplets. My jaw dropped open. How did you know that? They were stillborn. Father never told any pony. I told you, I see souls. I reversed the bucket, I did magic. Anyways, because you Germains have bucked up DNA, the DNA of 3 ponies each, in fact your body had room for their still developing souls, which transferred to the growing you, and which you absorbed. So you are a mix of yourself and the sisters you never had. Thus, your soul looks female. Dusk picked up another small glass and slugged it back. I decided that I actually needed that bottle, not just wanted it. Opening the bottle, I took a deep long drink from it. Honestly, Dusk's explanation would explain so much. So I'm not just me. No. You're just you. But you're special. You're laterally 3 ponies put together. Blenderized into one. From what I can see, you would have died a few months later in the womb without the extra soul power to keep you going. I giggled, did you just say laterally? Shut up. Dusk said with a deep blush. I'm drunk, somehow. So I totally made a deal with Butter over there. This is awesome. Never got to be drunk before. I was about to say something when Dusk cut me off. So Lily, wow, even your name's girly. You're interesting and stuff. Let's talk for a while. Shoot the breeze and shit. I thought about it for a second, then nodded, well, okay. But only until I'm warm. Awesome. Dusk grinned tipsily. Jade, 26th of Megan 15 EOH night, 9 hours before dawn. Things had gotten pretty quiet in the cells. David didn't have much to say after a few hours and had curled up to sleep. Since 3 over there hadn't said anything, let alone moved, I was basically alone. It was kind depressing. I'd decided on curling up on top of the little straw mat in my cell, since it was warmer than the floor, and bat a small rock back and forth between my hooves. I made a little game of it, like a mini one-ling soccer match. Bat the rock one way, stop it mid-flagstone, bat the other way. Jade takes the ball down the center field, she shoots. Oh! And a deflection by Jade. Nothing but wild action here at Versus Yourself Stadium. Jade! I yelped as the voice broke the complete silence, hearts racing in surprise. I noticed 3 had moved. She had put herself right up against the bars, looking directly at me. Your name is Jade, she said slowly. Bad thought. Don't use real name, shifted. You, young. It was like every single word hurt her to say it. I couldn't help but wince. Why yes. Hard, see. What kind? She asked, face pulling oddly as she spoke. I'm shifted. You wouldn't see anyways. I said carefully. But, I'm a scout. I'm sorry. You're home. All should know, shifting. She muttered softly, head slumping until her head hit the bars of the cell. I frowned, watching her head pathetically sort of wedge between 2 bars. You're not okay. My friend's a doctor, I can. No hive link, dying, need, can do nothing. She explained slowly. Oh, I shuffled my forehooves slowly against the floor. Speech, hard. Want, talk, mind speech, okay. 3 asked. I nodded, and with a quick pulse of my magic reopened my mind to the frequency they had been using before. I learned your hive's speech earlier. We can talk like this. Good, 3 replied, her mental voice sounding stronger, but still decaying, and also hollow. Diamond was isolated from the hives. More so than all, but the emeralds, 3 said, making me wonder what she meant. Most hives have more than one colony. They are linked. Communicate. Part of a larger whole. But not yours. A shame. Yours was special. Do you know our people's history? Yet I know plenty about my HIV. No. Not your hive, all of us. Our common heritage, 3 elaborated. Oh. I thought for a few moments, then shook my head. No. The swarm knows. She's kept it alive. The knowledge, our heritage. Her mother was there. Our people were not ever supposed to be what we are now, 3 said, her tone shifting to more of a lecturing sort of voice. In the beginning, only the queens were like us, with minds, personas. Other castes were just beasts, like drones still are. All of us worked as one hive. One people. Unified by singular mind. Overmind. An entity. She doesn't know what it was, she never saw it, or heard it. Her mother did. Served it for thousands of years. Our kind lived north of Equestria. Those lands are ice now, but once, a jungle. 3 paused to send a torrent of memories over our link, showing me thousands of details. There were massive trees covered in a thick purple moss. A million kinds of animals everywhere you looked. The ground was covered in lush plants of all kinds. But the ground itself was strange, it was fleshy, grey, alive. This was our home. Not that any but the queens knew it. 3 continued. A new queen was born one day. She was damaged. Her eyes were white. Your hive descended from her. She could not hear the overmind, and it ordered her to be slain. She escaped, fled south, and took refuge in Equestria. The ponies knew her as Clover. She grew strong, powerful, and one day returned to the first hive, and slew the overmind. Its death throes changed us, the lower castes gained our minds. Our jungle began to die. The queens ruled us, harshly. They saw Equestria a threat. There were crusades. They failed. The princesses scattered the hives across the known world. We are better now. All queens are children of the older culture. Most of us are civil, if not peaceful. But she is different. CCC cries. She remembers. Her mother lived very long. Died only 1,000 years ago. She has her mother's memories. She has found. She knows how the overmind worked. Wants to return us to before. She can't yet. Not powerful enough. But the book. Clover's book. Spells, they would doom us all three finished. Why would you tell me this? I asked, shaken by the revelation she had given me. Aren't you working for her? She wasn't lying. It's not possible to lie when speaking mind to mind. Never wanted to work for her. She can force you. Do not look her in the eyes. Book, if she is about to get it. Destroy it. Don't destroy, if you can. Power is best in the right hooves. 3 finished, slumping against the bars even more. I nodded slowly. I understand. Good. 3 said faintly. I will rest soon. Need to talk to the dog later. But first, I can help you. Not scout, worker. But my shifting is good. I can give you memories. How to do basics. My eyes widened in surprise. You can do that? Yes. Workers of my hive special telepathy is multi-use. Do you want? Please, I begged. I needed to know how to shift properly. Sun's light that would solve so many of our problems. I felt a small surge of memories pass through our link. It wasn't like the sending of pictures of feelings that Changeling could do. This was different. Instead of just showing me something, the memories sort of stuck. It was like I suddenly knew things, but had always known them. I could feel that I knew how to properly change my shape. Not anything more than how to get a pony, griffin, or zebra shape right on the first try, but it was still a huge improvement. It had been taking me 3 shifts minimum to do the basic pony. Thank you. This will save me so much energy, I exclaimed gratefully. I am glad. I wish I could help the mare traveling with you too. 3 said faintly, her head unlodging from the bars as she slumped down onto the floor. Azza? Don't worry too much. I'm sure he's fine, I said comfortingly as I felt the link break off. I waited a few seconds, watching 3 just lay there on the floor. With a concerned grimace I stuck a hoof through the bars and touched her chitin just below her neck. I could feel her heart's beating very slowly. Letting out a relieved sigh, I scooted back to my rock, and resumed trying to pass the time. Azza, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, night, 9 hours before dawn. So I'm like, completely done, you know. I said shakily, leaning on the table to support myself as Dusk nodded dizzily. Nice dress, makeup, jewelry, so pretty. I set up a camera to get picture for, you know, stuff. And my father comes in. Oh come on. Dusk exclaimed angrily, every bucking time you look cute he beat your ass. I shook my head. No, that time he set my tail on fire. Dusk jumped up from the table angrily, and put her hooves under it to try and throw the table. But it didn't budge. She looked under the table and nodded slowly. Nailed to the floor, clever bar pony, clever. I nodded and finished off the last of my bottle. Dusk took a small black notebook out of her wherever she kept things and opened it. So this no-dick jack-off motherfucker's name is, like, what? She asked. Oh. I closed my eyes to try and remember his name. Things were really slippery. I think some pony covered my memories in bacon grease. Verardit's hearse, Dusk mumbled as she scribbled a note, give, extra, fire. Oh. No. Like, extra scorpions of fire. I said quickly. Because holy crap, that was an awesome idea. I want a fire scorpion. That would be bucking epish. Dusk smiled and gave me an impressed little nod, scribbled her note out and muttered, extra, giant, flaming, scorpions, made, of, plague, rats. There. Dusk put the book back away and stumbled to her hooves, then walked over and put a hoof on my shoulder. Hey, you're awesome. And you totally need friends, like, all the friends. We should go hang out. You know, go do something. I nodded slowly, okay, but like, what? She shrugged, stumbling back a few inches. I don't know. Oh. Wait. We should get you some piercings. I smiled, that seemed like a great idea. Yet. I've always wanted earrings. Dusk blinked twice then giggled, okay, we'll get you those too. Something felt a bit odd about. Oh, right. But wait, we're in Stalingrad. You know, infections. Bad medicine. Dusk rolled her eyes. Day. That's why we're going to my friend's place in Napone. She trotted a few steps over towards the door, so I followed her. But how will we get to Napone? It's like, weeks away by boat. I asked, feeling confused. I think. Oh yeah. Dusk blushed deeply and then turned and held out a hoof to me. Here babe, take my hoof. You'll be able to fly. I giggled happily at being called babe and grabbed her hoof. Suddenly there was a sharp pinch in my stomach, and... Wait, what? Why were there skyscrapers everywhere? Did some pony plant good building seeds? I asked curiously. Dusk snickered and almost fell over, catching herself on a trash can. No. I like, teleport us. To the shop. Oh. Okay. I said dizzily. Dusk got onto her hooves and walked into a shop in front of us. It had a really cool glowy pink sign. But I couldn't read it because I'd forgotten to renew my translation spell. Good thing Dusk knew Germain. I followed her inside just in time to see Dusk smile and wave to the tiny Nation Pegasus mare behind the counter. Hey! It's a Shiruko-chan. Dusk. The tiny pinkish and bluish, silky-looking mare greeted with a smile, before frowning quickly. Are you drunk? How? Magic booze. I'll get you some. Dusk giggled. My jerk brothers kept up his part of the bargain, right? Shiruko nodded, yes. Who's your friend? Oh, that's Aza. He needs some piercings, she replied quickly. He? Shiruko asked, looking at me in surprise. I nodded. Yeah, but I think I'm just gonna cross-dress forever. 'Cause I keep explaining I just look girly and no pony really believes me. Shiruko nodded and frowned. I normally don't do people while they're drunk. But I'll make an exception if you give me another bargain, Dusk. Sure. Name it. Dusk hicked. Eternal youthful beauty for Ennaponi I Wednesday. Shiruko said quickly. I don't want to not show my age while some pony I love withers. Dusk blinked and tilted her head. I didn't do that when I got my brother to do that for you. I'm sorry. Done. I'm gonna stop by his place later anyways. Now make him cuter and sexier. Yeah. I giggled, then frowned as I wondered why the corners of my vision were going fuzzies. Shiruko smiled happily, oh. So you want some nice earrings, and some fun piercings? That's different, I always like working on cute stallions. Still want the deal though. Dusk waved a hoof dismissively, it's fine, I'll do it. Kit him out top and bottom, but you know, keep it cute. Wait, bottom? I asked cautiously. That didn't sound right. Don't worry, it won't hurt. Shiruko chuckled. Magic tools, everything will even be all healed up right away. Oh. Okay. I sat as Shiruko led me over to a small bunchy sort of table. So, platinum, silver, gold, colored steel?" she asked. Gold? 'Cause silver blends with my coat," I answered. "Alright, I'll let you pick the ears, I'll do the rest. Don't worry, I'm an artist, it will be great." So for the ears, I think some simple hoops would be nice. "Do you want permanent rings or changeable ones?" The fuzziness got way more fuzzy, and I answered her with something, but for the life of me I can't remember what it was. David, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, late night, 5 hours before dawn. It took me about 3 minutes after waking up to remember why I was in a jail cell. I'm not a good waker, not without coffee. Even after 5 goddamned years I still seriously needed some coffee to get going. There was sadly absolutely nothing to do. I couldn't even check what time it might be, because the cells did not have any windows. Jade appeared to be asleep, and Watts her number was just sort of laying on the floor. Needless to say it was basically Dullsville. Normally I am quite good at entertaining myself. Passing time is easy when you can do something. It's hard where there is nothing to do. I'm a man of action. I read, create, repair. Not sit around. Well, that's not quite true. I had been getting into that whole video game thing before I came here. That's different though, it's like being in the book instead of just reading it. I briefly considered doing some philosophical thinking, but reconsidered when I remembered that philosophy is arbitrary nonsense supported by absolutely nothing other than the opinions of some guy, and thus a waste of my time. Then I debated trying to scientifically prove a given philosophy to try and actually verify it. Only to realize that the conclusions and suppositions of philosophy can't actually be scientifically tested. Then I realized I was sitting in a jail cell on a planet full of talking ponies and creatures from Greek mythology. Thus, all philosophy was complete and utter bullshit, with the possible exception of ancient Greek stuff, as they apparently know this place was a thing. In my humble opinion, this probably meant that the old show Stargate SG-1 was onto something. Maybe somewhere around here there was a Egypty place and I could find a gate. Not to go home but to pick myself up some goddamn coffee before heading back over here. "Dog," a feeble voice whispered dryly. I loved canine years, I knew exactly where that sound had come from. Turning to face the fuck was her name. I gave her a gentle nod. "Yes. I am, sorry," she apologized, looking at me with one eye half open the other shut in a pained, twitching manner. I frowned and did my best to visually inspect her. If Jade's behavior and body language were typical of her species, this changeling was in extreme pain. "I'm sorry too. I wish I could help you." "It is, fine," she groaned. "I wish I didn't shoot you. But it's okay," I said reassuringly. "You were being controlled. I understand." "I won't make morning," she groaned. "My hive is free still. Is in Zebrica. Near Choose. If you go there, can you get someone to take something to the hive for me?" "Of course," I said as I moved closer to the bars to accept whatever she was intending to give me. This wouldn't be the first last request I had fulfilled for a dying soldier. Hopefully it would be the last. The changeling made a sound which I was pretty sure was a death rattle, but then spat a large glob of greenish mucus on the ground in front of her. "Ah!" I yelped, just lay still, that's probably impo." "Meant to do that," she said with the feeblest of chuckles. A second later her horn glowed dimly with a green aura, and the green gunk bubbled, flowed, and deformed into a small round disc. To my amazement it hardened into a silver medallion with an inscription in what I presumed was the changeling language on it. She kicked the medallion through the bars of my cell and informed, "This will let my sister know I died free." I nodded and picked the medallion up. It felt like silver too. "How did you make this?" "Alchemy. Zebras showed us. Dross is good for transmuting." Only lasts 50 years, though, she said, before spitting up a second glob. I watched as she formed the glob into a faceted emerald, spat up more fluid, and started to slowly piece together a rather elegant emerald necklace. The emerald was held in the center of a slightly asymmetrical gold arrowhead-like shape. It looked something like elvish jewelry from the Lord of the Rings movies. The changeling slid the necklace through the bars after making a small silver chain for it. "For the mare, with you. Tell her. I'm sorry. This necklace will go well with dress. Azza is actually a colt, but I'll tell him," I said, gently picking the necklace up. It also felt real. "How about that? Magic? Fuck yet." Really?" the changeling asked. "Yes. He flashed me to prove it," I admitted with a sigh. "Well, I hope he is okay. Hypnosis has bad side effects," she groaned. I hoped he was okay too, but at the moment consoling the dying person was at the top of my priorities list. "Don't worry, I'm sure he's out there doing something girly." Azza, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, late night, 5 hours before dawn. "I have no idea where we are," Dusk shouted. Whenever we was, it was full of pulsing music, and lots of pastel humanoids. Also a crap ton of flashing lights. "I seem to have hands." "Why the hey do I have hands?" I asked loudly. "Ugh. I knew we shouldn't have gotten into a hoof fight with the me in the mirror," Dusk grumbled. David, 26th of Megan 15 EOH, late night, 5 hours before dawn. "Like his mane." I finished comfortingly, as the changeling nodded, her half-open eye falling shut. She lay still for a long time. Long enough for me to realize she had passed. I sat down and took the medallion out of my pocket and turned it in my fingers. "It's an odd day when you take a letter home for your enemy." Azza, 27th of Megan 15 EOH, early morning, 3 hours before dawn. "Wait, where are we now?" I asked, trying to ignore the buzzing pain behind my eyes. "My apartment," Dusk grumbled, kicking some boxes off a ratty-looking couch with a hoof. "Oh, why are we here?" I asked. "So I can sleep off this hangover. Holy hell, these suck." "Worth it though," she muttered, flopping onto the couch. "Oh. Okay. Where should I go?" I asked, feeling like the left half the floor was moving up while the right half was moving down. "Like, your place." "Day," Dusk grumbled. Her ears perked up. "Oh yeah. Right. You're immortal. Hold on." Dusk waved a hoof, and a shimmering way to bright glowing doorway slid up from the floor to my left. "Take that back to your cart. I had fun. Enjoy whatever the buck we did. Oh, and feel free to keep that jewelry and shit. You deserve it." "Jewelry?" I asked, looking down to find myself sporting a few nice bracelets, mostly gold, but a few silver, some with really pretty designs. One was even all awesome glowy. "Oh yay. Ow." Dusk whined. "No, so loud. I'll pop in to do this again sometime, okay? It was fun, now please go. I need to bed." I nodded, stumbled, and staggered through the shining door, walking face first into David's wagon. "Ow. Faust verdammt," I grumbled, my nose pressed into the spokes of a wheel, and plot sticking up in the air. On second thought, this was actually pretty comfy. I closed my eyes and instantly fell asleep.